Yep, good evening everyone, welcome back to SBR for the Austrian Grand Prix here, and we are here for round number 6. Hope you all doing well. It's Monday today. Let's see what this race has in store for us, because this track, very short, 4.3 kilometers long, it only got about 10 turns. It's not one of them is not even a turn if you class turn 2 as a turn, because it's flat out in these modern day cars, they're barely turning, just looking to get the braking points sorted for turn 3. But yeah, we're just waiting to start the lobby and we should be going soon, so just hold on for a few minutes. Hope you enjoyed, I don't know if you're here at the moment, but I hope you really enjoyed the Bahrain Grand Prix. I know some people won't enjoy it because of Red Bull, but I presume you've all watched it by now, so I can't really spoil anything. So yeah, if you haven't watched it, then what are you doing? But yeah, massive day for Ferrari. Fantastic to see them take a victory, and not only a victory, it was a 1-2 as well, so it was fantastic to see them back up there. Been 46 races, they said, since Ferrari last scored a win, and it was a 1-2 as well back in Singapore Grand Prix, where Sebastian Vettel took the last Ferrari victory. I think we were in for a good season in the 2022 season. Let's see if Mercedes can catch back up. What about Red Bull as well, with their problems with the fuel pump, as they claim? But anyways, enough of that, and we're about to go away for Austria. We'll be ready in a few minutes time. I know it's not the best attendance, but oh well, better than none. And we should be going away in about 2 seconds time. So qualifying then 18 minutes long, and the benefit of this track is the end, it's only 1 minute and basically 3 seconds, or 2 seconds depending how quick you are, basically around 63 seconds a lap. And if you mess up on one lap, you could do about 4 or 5 laps around here, because the tyre wear also in qualified is not that high as well. So that's the benefit, because it's very easy to validate around here, especially when you're coming around those 2 final corners and you're absolutely pushing to the limit. Make a little mistake and go slightly off the track and get yourself in a validation. It's also down at turn 1 is another place where you can validate. Not as easy before, but it's still a place where you can validate, especially the race as well, because when you're behind on the car, you enter that corner with loads of fuel as well, and being a dirty air, it's so easy to just outbrake yourself or just have a snap of oversteer. But 18 minutes of qualifying session. It is raining here in Austria. Last time it rained here in Austria was the 2020 qualified. I think it was the Styrian or Austria, I can't actually remember. I think it was the Styrian Grand Prix, and Hamilton took pole that day. But yeah, wet Austria. It'll be very interesting to see how these drivers tackle around this circuit. It's a high-speed circuit as well, low downforce. I wonder as well, will it be dry for the race, because sometimes you can have a switch over from wet to dry or dry to wet. It doesn't really stay wet in both sessions or dry in both sessions. Well, it doesn't dry, but when it comes to the rainy conditions, you don't really see carry over to the race. So should be an interesting qualifying session. Get the graphics up and see what tyres people have opted to go for. And as you can see, the green wall intermediate tyres. These tyres have such good tyre life around here. We've got the first driver of IDZ ZK9 out of the circuit, so they'll be very interested to see how he tackles this track. 4.3 kilometer circuit, down into this heavy braking zone. A little hesitation on entry, but this is his outer lap. So on his outer lap then, trying to get the tyres up to temperature, warming the brakes as well, spotting the braking zones as well. I wonder how many drivers have done practice around here. This one, turn 4, downhill section. Very easy to lock the brakes into turn 4, so it's downhill as well. You can see he's sliding out the corner just slightly. He's not even using the ERS as well, so once he turns on that ERS, gets the extra boost of power from the rear tyres as well, if they could handle it. A bit of understeers it seems from IDZ. Not sure if it's just his setup or if he hasn't got the tyres up to temperature, but he's about to start his lap very soon. And the tyres don't overheat like the soft or mediums do. You can go for extra laps around here, consecutive lap times. And let's see then, the more laps you do on these inters, the better, as it starts to grip in. As he rounds the final corner and crosses the line then to start a flying lap, using all of the curb of the entry, and into turn 1, hit the inside curb, but he's gone off the track though, and that is not a validation, so he's able to carry on And we come uphill now into turn number 2. Not really classed as a corner, it's still full throttle with the wet conditions. Braking at the 100-meter board, braking a straight line, little hesitation on the entry. You can see the rear just slide as he picks up the throttle there. Short shifted, as you can see, he's spun. And sadly for him, that is his first lap over as he aquaplaned all the way out of turn number 3 then. So he has to, even though he short shifted, it still didn't help as the rear still didn't get deep brake traction as it seems. So sadly for him, caused him to spin, but thankfully did not hit the wall, so he could continue because the tyre wear won't be as high. It's only a little spin anyway, so the tyre temperature should not be high either. As Busy then has locked up, double locked his brakes into turn 4, but that won't matter too much, you don't really affect your lap. But he's making his way now through turn number 6 then. 5th gear corner through here, or down to 4th gear for the extra rotation it seems, but in the dry will be 5th or 6th. 49.7 in that middle sector then as he downshifts back into 4th. Gets on the power, seems like a really nice stable exit there from Busy then. So if he keeps these two corners tidy, he should be able to set the first lap. Now this last corner is very easy to validate as you're taking a lot of speed through there. It's very easy to just misjudge your turning point as well. And that is 11.9, so we've got the Aston Martin next to cross the line, which is LSX, and he crossed the line now to go P2. He's a full second, almost a full second off the pace with a 12.9, so that definitely is improving. Foolsey goes into P2 at a 12.0, so a much better lap time, but he's just evaluated his second run. Sadly for him, so he may maybe open up the corner a bit too much by going wide, using all of the track. In that sense, as Connor sets the pace with an 18.8 and he's a 10th up on Busy's tyre. Client Bossy goes into P1 by 4/10, so he's definitely on the pace as he's going for a second lap. I expect to see a lot of people doing their second laps because it's the better as the track, as the grip, as the tyres start rubbing in the track as well. And the two Ferraris, I think, are on their lap of Leighton. Snell's just crossed the line to finish his lap. It's an 11.3. So he's, 12.3, sorry, so still in the 12s as he definitely needs to improve. Next one is the Haas to cross the line. Is it Homo Sapien? No, it's his teammate, Busy. And Busy is in the pit lane then, so he's only down slightly in that middle sector and he does not opt to continue in that last sector. So you don't really want to do one lap around these intermediate conditions. You want to be doing about 2 or 3 consecutive lap times. It's not like the softs or mediums. The grip on these tyres is fantastic as well. So you want to be doing more than one lap on these inters, as Homo Sapien is about to cross the line then, and he goes P2 at 11.6, so he puts that Haas on the front row along with Client Bossy and sets a good first lap time. So where's IDZ? He's about to cross the line now, and he goes, sadly for him, in P9, so he messed up his second lap, and Client Bossy smashes the top time in there with an 11.3. Is he going to go for a third attempt? The fuel is popping up early doors on his third lap, so he might not go for it, but Kai is on a lap just behind him as he entered turn 1 then. We'll see his first sector and compare it to the rest. So it's going to be a 17.4 in that first sector, and we'll compare it to a 17.3. Oh, he spun, I think. He saves the car. Yeah, he's just saved the car. Has the Aston Martin driver, so he's lost a lot of time, and Client Bossy's best lap was a 17.3, so he's only a 10th off. And I just saw somebody go on the soft. Oh, he's lost it again. Be very careful, Kai. Very easy to lose traction, but Leighton has crashed coming out of turn number 3, so the Ferrari driver has lost it, and I think Snell has had a problem there as well because he's using his ERS, I think, because of the lap time. As somebody further down has had an incident. Oh, it's his teammate. So he's crashed further down, and that's an odd crash because you're going at full speed there. He should have lost the rear. So what on earth has happened to Leighton? That's the Ferrari of Snell who's lost his front wing. That's why I got confused, because both Ferraris were stationary at one point and Snell kept moving. But sadly for his teammate, Leighton has lost it almost down the straight. So did he lock the rears and smashed into the wall? Was anybody there when he was on his lap? Because if somebody was in front of him, he had to swerve out of the way, and he lost the downforce and probably hit the wall. So that could be a possibility as well. But that's an odd place to crash, it must be said, as his teammate Snell is coming in the pit lane then, so he has to slow down and get back in the pit lane. The Aston Martin is next across the line. That's not Kai, that's his teammate LSX, but LSX is on an out lap, it seems. We've got one of the Hasses next across the line. Is that Homo Sapien? He has invalidated his lap time, and I think he'll go to pit lane because he's run out of fuel, which he does do. I don't know how strict these rules and regulations are with the pit lane, but I don't know if it's matters in qualifying, but in the race it might matter. But I'm forced across the line, does not improve, so he's going to go for 4th lap, as DRS then has been enabled with 10 minutes to go. So I think some people in the pit lane switching onto the soft compound tyres, such as Toxic Shui. Toxic Shui has decided not to go out there to put a lap in, because that's Leighton's situation. If you know, I don't know if he knows or not, but if you look at the weather radar, you can see it drying up and it's going to be a dry session, then you can't really take these risks of pushing too hard. Yeah, it's good to get a lap time on the board just in case, but at the same time you know it's going to dry up, so he took a lot of risk, and Snell as well, because Snell lost his front wing, it must be said, and he took a lot of risk doing that as well. Could have lost his whole wheel there depending on how hard he hit the wall. So if you know it's going to be dry, you don't really want to be doing that. I'm going to take it nice and easy, as Iron Folsey goes 2/10 quicker in the middle sector with an 11.8. So is he going to go in the pit lane, or is he going to continue that lap? He is, I don't know if he actually made a mistake at that penultimate corner, but he's going to go in the pit lane anyway. And we've got an Aston Martin out there on the soft compound tyres. No, it's LSX, and let's see his first sector at 17.1 by 2/10. That's the quickest we've seen so far in this session, as he goes purple then. Oh, we almost lost traction coming out of turn number 3. I think he has to abandon this lap now, because he's lost all that time. He's going to lose all the time down the straight ever since he made a mistake up at turn 3. You don't want to be really taking risks now, because the track is evidently drying up, and in this situation I've been in the pit lane and putting on a set of softs. Like Busy is coming out in P5. Would you come out this early on the soft compound tyres? Because it will get drier, the track will evolve, the track will get quicker as well, and if you're out now you can make mistakes with the track not fully drying up, as LSX does not go in the pit lane, or does he? Yeah, he does. He takes that racing line to come in the pit lane. But Busy's out there on the soft compound tyres along with Connor. Maybe he's getting his early lap timing, because this is a short track, to be fair, and you can get about 3 or 4 laps in on the soft compound tyres as well. So they're out there on the soft compound tyres. Track's a little bit damp and a bit greasy, but we'll see how they cope with the dry conditions now. As you can see, a huge corner. The rear is just stepping out as he swung it into the final corner. Let's see then, as we head into turn number 1 we go. Breaking the 100-metre mark, hit the inside curb there, it goes. Oh, I thought he'd lose it on the exit of turn 1, but keeps it within the track limits. We might get a distant tow from the Ferrari ahead of us. 2 cars gets out of the way, and his first sector at 16.3 smashes that first sector immediately by 9/10. There has a lock up into turn 1. Can he get out of the corner very well? Yes, he can. No signs of wheel spin coming out of that corner. A little bit of a tow from the Ferrari or Snell, as he makes his way down into turn number 4, breaking up the 100-metre mark, using all of the curb, locks up. He wouldn't be hitting that curb to get a really good run coming out of the corner. And let's see then, as he makes his way down into turn number 6, swings it in the 5th gear, carry the minimum speed, use the outside curb. Then you want to avoid this inside curb here. You don't really want to touch it, which he has done, but gets away with it. Most occasions you lose the car because it's just the curbs around here. And now it comes to penultimate corner then. Let's see how he takes it. And down to 6th, rides that curb, using the curb on the outside for our final corner. Very well indeed. So he's about to go pole position then with a 5-minute 0.8. Expect that to get quicker and quicker over the course of this qualifying session then. As we've got next across the line is the Alfa Romeo. Well, Kyle Boss, he started his flying lap, and now the Haas is about to cross the line. Where's he going to go? It looks like he validated it. This the next lap. He may have gone wide in that final corner and cost himself this the next lap. So sad for him. His second run on the soft compound tyres has been compromised before it's even started, and he's still going for it as well. 16.1, but in this situation I can just cool the tyres down, unless he's dashing back in the pit lane and wants to put in a brand new set of softs, of course. But if he's going to go for another lap, yeah, Homo sapien don't really need to be giving his to a teammate because he's validated it. But if he's going for another lap, then he needs to cool these tyres down, because you don't want to be really doing consecutive lap times, as IDZ then goes quickest by 3/10 with a 5.5. The times are starting to tumble down then, and it's Busy uses a lot of that curb on the entry there to turn number 6. Connor has invalidated his lap time, he's going to go for another one, but let's see what it was going to be anyway. Oh yes, definitely pole position, but yeah, sadly for him, he validated that lap. Where's the next driver? Is that Snell? No, he's in the pit lane. There's an Alfa Romeo about to cross the line, which is Klein. and it doesn't look like he improved either, so he's going for a second lap on these softs. Loads of drivers are starting to validate their lap time as the Haas comes across the line of Homo Sapien. Interesting decision there from Homo Sapien. Mediums is not really a suitable qualifying tyre. Let's see if he got them up to temperature on a track like this as well, so we'll see how he handles turn 3. Has he warmed the tyres up? His first sector is going to be a 16.1 as Kai goes quickest with a 4.4, 1.1 seconds quicker than IDZ CK9 in P2. Track swamping in, time's getting quicker. The Toxic Sweet has not got a lot of time on the board, neither does Hakim, but Homo Sapien coming down to turn 4. Looks like a clean lap so far from Homo Sapien. Let's see if he can keep it going. Nice and tidy lap so far, but let's see how quick it is. Will he go with the soft compound tyres later? Makes it very nice there to come out of turn 6. Don't touch the inside curb here. Comes out the exit very nicely. Goes purple in the middle sector as well for good measure. So looks like evidently he's on a good lap as he makes his way towards the penultimate corner. Takes it very nicely through there. Coming to the final corner now, making sure that you don't go wide. And this lap time is going to be a 4.4. Wow. That's on the medium compound tyres, and that's only a few hundreds away from the quickest time. Looks like he's going for a second lap. He's spun. Homo Sapien has spun the car, and that is his lap time over. He needs to get out of the way for the AlphaTauri just in case he's on a lap. That is Falsey. Hopefully he didn't slow him down. And there we see the AlphaTauri then on a lap as he makes his way towards the first sector. It's going to be a 16.0, obviously going 1.1, but has he got a bit too deep? Yes, he has, but gets the car turned around. And let's see then, has he lost any time coming down the straight? A bit too deep on the brakes there. Majority of the drivers are in the pit lane, but that was a cracking lap from Homo Sapien there. As you can see, the sun starts to come out, so the track will get even quicker. Is this a case of coming across the line last to get the perfect lap time as the track's in good condition? Where is the Haas that's just got off the track? I think he's getting out of the way, but I'm not quite sure where he is. There he is. It wasn't a Haas. I thought I saw a car in the middle sector slowing down in turn 6, but Falsey then makes his way towards the penultimate corner in 7th gear, down into 6th gear he goes, 5th now as he makes his way towards the line. Is this going to be quicker than everybody else? Oh yes it is, a 4.0 as we're getting closer towards the 103 mark, and it's 4/10 quicker. Looks like he's going for a second lap, but that could be a validated standard for him, which it has done. So Busy then on a flying lap. Did he say his best lap time on the mediums? I think he was one of those drivers on the mediums, but decided to go on the soft compound tyre. As it makes, he's always on his out lap anyway, so I thought he'd go for a flying lap. Climbs on an out lap, has set his best lap time on the intermediates then, so 6 downwards then set their best lap times on the intermediates, except Hacken and Toxic Jasui, who sadly has got internet connection issues. Hacken coming around that final corner now. Let's see what lap time this is. It's going to be a 1 minute 4.0, so he's very close to the top of the timesheets then in P2. That is a brilliant lap time from the Mercedes driver on the medium compound tyre. So 2 minutes and something seconds left to go. I'm not quite sure if Hakim's got enough time to go in the pit lane and do another lap on the softs if he wants to go on the softs. So has he got enough fuel in the car to go for another run on the mediums, because obviously tyre wear's not too high around here, and maybe doing a second lap on the mediums could be better as the tyre is more in the window. Anybody else on the medium compound tyres? Homo Sapiens switched over to the softs, but he's not out of the track yet. LSX? Well, I think he'll have to go to the soft compound tyres. Klein Bossy is on a lap then, so let's see what he does. 1.5 seconds, 15.8 in the first sector then. Clips the apex nicely into the turn 3, gets on the throttle with no wheel spin, so perfect entry and exit for Klein Bossy. And he makes his way down into turn number 4, downhill braking, the 100 metre board, very easy to lock up on the entry there, slight lock up, but it won't affect him too much as he makes his way out the corner. Turn 5 I think this is, now coming through turn 6 then, swing it in, keep it in 5th gear, keep the minimum speed up, use the outside curb, 44.2 in that middle sector, avoid this curb, hooks up very nicely, gets on this curb as well to use all the track as you possibly can, and now making his way all the way down to the middle sector then, or penultimate corner I must say. Now it's final corner we go. Took it really cautious in my opinion, and Klein Bossy then makes his way towards the line, and it's going to be pole position with a 3.5. Anybody out there on the medium compound tyres, it's too late to go to pit lane now. As he goes wide was Klein Bossy, but I think he has another lap time because there's 1 minute 3 seconds left to go. And anybody out there busy has backed out of his lap time, so did he make a mistake without turn number 1? Snell's on the soft compound tyres, and we'll switch it back over to the yeah, there we go. So LSX then has gone out on the medium compound tyres. Interestingly then, Hakim is in the pit lane, so he will not improve, and he also set his best lap time on the mediums as well. But Connor makes his way, oh, he's just gone wide, but he does not invalidate, and he makes his way towards the final corner as well. Let's see what the lap time is. A 3.9, and he's 4/10 away from Clyde Bossy. He's going to go for the lap time, yes he is, but the Haas driver is coming towards the final corner. That's Homo Sapien, I think. Yes it is. And the AlphaTauri just behind him is on the out lap. That is Falsey. So anybody out there coming towards the line then, I think Busy's one of them, but Busy did make a mistake on his recent lap. Snell's out there. There he is. Through the final corner he goes. Can he get a pole? He goes P4 just ahead of Hakim then. The Alfa Romeo's next across the line. Is that Clyde Bossy? Yes it is. And I don't think he's improved. LSX right behind him, I think. No, that's not LSX, but LSX has not improved, so he'll stay down in P10, sadly for him. And where's his teammate Kai? He's just crossed the line now to stay in P7, sadly for him. And IDZ CK9 has gone P8. Where's Homo Sapien in comparison? 44.5, that's 2/10 quicker, but those 2/10 are not enough to get in their pole position unless he finds a huge heap of time in his final sector. But moving up the order is very crucial here, and he's invalidated, sadly for him. Just gone slightly wide. That's very harsh, because I know Connor went very wide through the penultimate corner. And Falsey's got P2 with a 3.8, so he's on the front row along with Clyde Bossy, and Clyde Bossy then takes pole position away from Falsey, and that is qualified over. So I think two drivers are on the medium compound tyres. That's LSX and Hakim. I bet LSX wished he'd get knocked out of the top 10 so he can put on a brand new set of tyres. But qualifying is done and dusted, and there's your pole sitter Clyde Bossy. In fact, LSX set his best lap time on the intermediate tyres, so he has a chance to start on softs or mediums, as he didn't qualify in the top 10 on a dry compound, and if he stays dry in the race he has a choice to go on the softs or mediums. So not too bad for LSX, but I know he'd rather improve than go up the order, but he has that chance to put on a brand new set of tyres inside that top 10 at least. So does Leighton and Toxic Jusui. Homo Sapien and the Haas in P9 on the medium compound tyres. Oh, he set his best laps on the mediums. He was on the softs later, but he invalidated it. And Hakim will be very happy to put that Mercedes in P5 on the mediums. Let's see how his race goes. Welcome everybody, we are back and we're on the formation lap then. So the top 4 are on the soft compound tyres, Hakim in P5 on the mediums. So will that be an advantage or disadvantage? It obviously go longer, but will he drop behind some of the people on the soft compound tyres such as Busy, Kai and IDZ? Homo Sapien is on the medium compound tyres, as he set his best lap time on there, as he didn't improve on the softs. As LSX set his best lap time on the inters, so he looks like he did get a clean run on the soft compound tyres. And obviously Leighton, outside the top 10, has decided to go with the soft, so he's not going for that long stint. And Toxic just wee, ever the laggy, hasn't rejoined the session, and sadly for him, his internet just proves that it's not working for him whatsoever. So yeah, sadly for him, he will not participate unless he gets that internet connection sorted. Quick driver, of course, but the internet is just letting him down. And obviously, if you have a console, the worst nightmare to have is internet connection issues. So Klein Bossy then looks like he's further ahead. Look at that. iForce's decided to drop back on Klein Bossy then, making him wait later on the grid. You can see a bit of a gap developing between iForce and Connor. They're not weaving, so they'll lose the temperature just by doing that, taking it very slowly, but the AI is now taking control and they're all going to line up on the grid. For the new game, I don't think you could sort what tyres you want in the race, and that's coming for the new game. So I bet the drivers will be more happy for that, because if you start P8, P9 and P10 and you're on the soft compound tyre, you could feel vulnerable because you've got the guys behind on newer tyres and you're stuck in that DRS train as well, so there's nothing you can do. But that should be really interesting to see. Right then, so the lights will go out and we're going to be underway for round 6. Looks like iForce had a really good start initially, but he's lost it, and there goes Hughes Connor then. He immediately gets past. So look at Busy and Snell, they're going side by side, but Ronnie's hit the back of Busy and forces Snell, who's got into the wall, and he's spun. Goes into the wall, might have lost his end plate, but sadly for him, he got hit from behind and lost traction. He might have gone sort of way too early as he went off the track and tried rejoining it, but he's gone off the track now. And Hughes Connor then defends from Forzy as Hakim's going side by side with Kai there. He's on the medium compound tyres, of course, so Kai will have better grip as he makes his way down into turn 4. Realistically, Kai should have a better exit with the soft compound tyres, and he does do, using the ERS to get past him though. So he might lose a place to Leighton. Leighton steaming through, and around the outside he goes into turn number 7 then. They're wheel to wheel now as they make their way into turn 8. And look at that, Leighton swings it around the outside, and he maintains 6th place. Leighton started outside the top 10, and guess what? He's 5 places above where he started within the first lap. So that's a fantastic first lap from Leighton, definitely what he needed, being knocked out the top 10, and he could join the pack now and see what he could do from there. But Klein Bossy had a perfect start. It looks like Fulsey in the first 2 seconds had a much better start than Klein Bossy, but he's just dropped to the second phase, not even the second phase. But it looks like the car just had a good launch, it just stopped again, and Connor was able to take advantage and move himself up into P2. As we've got a few pitters then, I expected to be in the pit lane. As look at Homo Sapien around the outside, he goes to Hakim. Hakim's losing places, and that's his fellow media runner, so he's dropped behind his fellow media runner, so he needs to get himself in a rhythm. Don't want to be losing too many places, kind of affect your confidence. Of course, he outbrakes himself slightly coming into turn number 4. Yeah, just needs to get those tyres in the working range. He started P5 of course, so he's further up the grid. He's longer on the grid compared to the guys behind, so it will lose tyre temperature. But Kai, looks like someone made a mistake out there just for a split second. Was it later? I'm not quite sure, but this is where you'll see the DRS trade start to happen. And if you're in a position like 3rd or 4th, you'll be struggling because you ain't got an advantage or disadvantage. You've got the same advantage as the guys ahead of you. You both got DRS, not even gaining on the guy ahead. You're just stuck in that DRS trade. So here is the second DRS range. Not activated the first one because the DRS detection point is before the last corner, so that's still lap 2 as we head on to lap 3. And now, is anybody close enough to make a move down into turn 3? They're all too far back, but the Aston Martin is going to go down the inside, and he's coming to a acute angle, but they both make contact, and Leighton gets a much better exit then, as he's able to make his way out the corner quicker than the Aston Martin. Busy's defending as much as he can. He don't want to lose 2 places, as Leighton's going to go around the outside now of the Aston Martin, and that was a lovely move up into P5. And now he's threatening the Haas of Busy. Is he going to go around the outside? Yes, he is. Like he did on Hakim. He's going around the outside. Is he going to make the move stick? I think he will. Yes, he does. Leighton gets his muscles out and moves up into P4. What a start from Leighton. P11 to P4 already in 3 laps. What a fantastic start from the Ferrari driver, but he's 1.4 seconds outside the DRS range of these 3, the leaders. Oh, look at that, Busy. Kai, I think he made a mistake. out of that final corner, and Busy took advantage of that, and Homo Sapien then will follow through to go side by side into turn 1. Kai breaks later, and both houses have hit each other. They both go off the track, and Busy has lost a position towards Kai. As we move further up the grid there, Connor trying to get past Clyde Bossy, but Clyde Bossy defending the right places. I look at Hakim going down the inside of LSX, defending from LSX. He's going to lose towards him, but further up then, no moves being made on the top 3. I think LSX is right behind Hakim, but does not make a move. So turn number 1, you don't really want to go side by side through there because you have a big chance of just going off the track. And look at Leighton, he's hovering around the 1 second range of DRS, and he's got himself out the 1 second range of DRS of Kai. The Ferrari driver is on it tonight, or this evening, and he's got himself within DRS range already without using too much of their ERS. So good progress on the from the Ferrari so far, as he's dropped Kai. Took advantage of that because in turn 1 you can see Kai there just lost deployment before the finish line. You can tell he was using all of that ERS to try to stay within that 1 second range of Leighton. And LSX has got a 5 second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, of course, but Connor then getting close to the back of Klein. He's just picking his moment, but Klein goes a little bit too deep on the brakes there. But when he decides to make a move, he can't afford to wait too long, because if he waits longer, Fulsey might think, oh, I can take second place because Connor's waited behind Klein. And no moves being into turn 4. You can really tell you could go for it, but obviously you want to plan it perfectly. You don't want to go too early, of course, but you don't want to leave it too late, because the guy behind could predict that, and he doesn't want to stay in third place, because third place is the worst place to stay in a DRS trade. So we think, yeah, I can take second place here because Connor is not making a move. So I might as well go for the move, get second place and stay behind Klein and try and get past Klein. If I was in this position too, I'd do the exact same thing what Connor's doing, because once you're ahead, you're just a DRS provider, and yeah, you can't even save ERS when you're ahead either. It's not too hard to save ERS around here, of course, but once you're behind in the DRS trade, it's so easy to stay in the DRS, so easy to save ERS, because you can a lot more speed and braking much earlier as well. Leighton then in P4, be a very good drive from Leighton if he can try and get himself on the podium, but early doors in this race so far, so anything could happen. They're all just sitting in that one DRS zone. Connor saving as much ERS as he can, planning for a late move. Wonder when he will go for it as well. Leighton then right behind Fulsey, and he's able to save the ERS because he was using it to try and close in on these guys here, and now he's able to save it. Once you're in that DRS range, you can save it. A bit hesitant going into turn 7 from Leighton there, but nonetheless does not make a mistake and stays right behind. Sadly for Kai, he hasn't got himself in that 1 second range of DRS towards Leighton then, so he's not even being threatened, is Kai, from Busy right behind. Busy is a DRS provider behind Homo Sapien and Hakim. Both Hasses on a different strategy, so those two don't have to worry about the safety car coming out at the wrong time, because from experience, when your teammates are ahead on the same strategy, there goes Connor then, who decides to go for it on lap 7, and now Klein, for the first time in this race, will experience the DRS, as Homo Sapien does get past his teammate of Busy for P6 in the race. Will Klein go for it again, but he's using that ERS. I think he'll go for it, you know. Down into turn 4, yes he does, so down the inside he goes into turn 4. Has he outbroke himself? The answer is yes. Connor gets a much better exit, and he claims back P1. So Klein Bossy then just braked a little bit too late, experiencing for the first time in dirty air, and nevertheless he's still in P2 and can try and save the ERS and try and fight back Connor towards later in this race. To be careful though, because Fulsey and Leighton is right behind as well. If you make a mistake in first place or second, you have third and fourth right behind you. You can immediately go from P1 to about P4, so you can be really careful. And if you do go to P4, it's a much harder chance to try and overtake these guys, as in that DRS train as well. Kai's dropped back to 2.1 seconds. In fact, has he made a mistake? Because Homo Sapien is in his DRS range, as Homo Sapien's just got off the track as well. That does not look like 4/10 to me from Homo Sapien towards Kai, so it must have been a bit of a glitch. In fact, Kai's actually caught up to Leighton, so it must be an error, because that does not like 2.1 seconds to me. So definitely an error on the game side of it. So Klein does not go for it, but he's trying to make sure that Connor can see him in his rear view and try and force him to a mistake, making Connor think twice into a corner. Is he actually going to go for it or not? Has Kai got himself a 1 second? I don't think that's 1 second to me. Just needs to use that ERS a bit more, but the problem is he's used a lot of it, of course. And if he can't get himself in that DRS range, he'll be having a hard time saving that ERS. So pivotal for him to get himself in that 1 second range of DRS, so we can try and save some ERS and attack later. So sadly we've got a graphic glitch from P5 downwards. Hopefully that can sort himself out. Yes, it has. It sorted himself out. And Kai is 9/10 behind Leighton. He goes off the track. You got to be very careful as well. I know he's pushed on very hard to keep with this 1 second range of DRS, because look at that. He's drained a lot of ERS. Clyde Bossy is going to go down the inside, or is he? Yes, he is. Down the inside. And Wolf Foolsy try to get past 2. Connor has not got DRS because Clyde Bossy planned it perfectly. And you can see there, Clyde Bossy then maintains P1 with the extra support of DRS as Foolsy. Is he going to go down the inside? No, he's not. And Kai is in the DRS range of Leighton, so we can start saving the ERS. And look at Leighton, he's got a much better exit coming out of turn 4. And now he's going to go side by side. He's done this about 3 times, has Leighton. Can he do it for the 3rd time in a row? Oh, they make contact and he's... Oh, I'm so glad he didn't get sent to a spin. But look at Foolsy as well. Foolsy got caught out by it as well. So both drivers making contacts, they've been caught out and they're both going to the pit lane. I really hope they haven't got damage. And look at Leighton, I think he has damage, judging by the way he's turned it in. That's a massive shame there. And they're both in the pit lane. Is this going to be a scheduled stop for Foolsy? Because I don't think he's got full wind damage, but he's going to go in the pit lane to put on a brand new set of mediums. Yes, he is, and that's a full wind change for the Ferrari. You can see Hakim is right behind the Haas of Busy. And those medium tyres are much better now than the soft compound tyres as they're coming towards the end of peak performance, but 2 cars are spun. That is IDZ and Snell. I think they both made contact there. I'm not quite sure. They must have made contact going side by side. And sadly that's not the first Ferrari who's made contact in those corners there. And Toxic Just Sweet sadly has been overtaken, not even in the session, so it doesn't really matter for him. But Leighton's got himself up into P8 on those fresh soft compound tyres. I mean medium, sorry. So that was the scheduled stop for Foolsy. I think he had enough of those softs and being in the DRS trade, so very important for him then, for his race, to try and push as hard as he can on these mediums and undercut these guys ahead who do not respond. But Snell has retired in the pit lane. It's IDZ is in the pits as well to change his front wing. 11 remain in the session. Oh, Connor then cut the first corner, and that might result as in a warning, so he's got to be very careful not to do that more than 2 times, otherwise he'll pick himself up a 3-second time penalty. Sadly for him, he's right behind Klein Bossy. Kai's there as well, lurking in the background. Kai's done a good job so far. He was outside the 1 second range of DRS a few laps ago. Now he's got himself in it, fighting with Busy and Homo Sapien. But the problem is he's got a 3-second time penalty. Foolsy has also picked himself up a 3-second time penalty. Foolsy's going to do about 26 laps on these mediums, which is doable of course, but their peak performance will be gone. So you can be really careful those tyres don't drop off too much towards the end, but they can definitely make it towards the end in my opinion. You can see Kai and Connor. I think Kai's going to the pit lane. He's definitely going to the pit lane there. You don't want to be coming to that corner in a acute angle, otherwise you lose a lot of speed. And he's going to try and undercut these two. We can get a good idea where Leighton will be in comparison to this, or Foolsy it must be said, because Leighton have full wind damage, but Homo Sapien and Kai are very close together. And Hakim, sorry. Wolf Foolsy, you can see purple, green middle sector there from Foolsy. She's using the ERS as well, might go for the fastest lap, but she does. It's a 6.0, so he's definitely pushing. And does he get ahead of Kai? The answer is yes. Now Kai was in the DRS trade behind Connor and Klein, so it's quite fair to say Foolsy will undercut Klein and Connor. And the gap is 2 seconds as well, so I think it's fair to say to Klein and Connor that they've definitely got to pit, otherwise they'll lose too much time, but might have the tyre advantage towards the later end of this race on Foolsy, doing a very early pit stop. Leighton had really good pace, but sadly he made contact at turn number 8. That's a massive shame. His Klein's got off the track there. He slowed down as well to make sure he did pick up a warning or a penalty in that case. And the longer they go on these tyres, the more chance that the undercut will happen for Fulsey and Kai, of course. And LSX has spun sadly for him coming out of turn number 4. You can see Kai is 2 seconds behind, so that's how much Fulsey gained in 1 lap, it must be said. You can see Connor and Klein right behind each other, then they may pit on lap 14, and Kai has picked himself up a 3-second time penalty, pushing very hard now to try and close the gap on Fulsey. The time he lost by the time he spent out there on the soft compound tyres. Meanwhile, further behind, Hakim has just got past the Mercedes Haas of Homo Sapien. Got himself back into P3. You can see Kai's pushing because the gap was 2.2 and now it's 1.7, so Kai's definitely on the push there. And look at that, I think Connor, no he doesn't. Klein's gone off the track again. Gotta be careful not to do that because he will pick himself up a penalty. The game's very inconsistent in that sense. Even if you slow it down, it might class it as a warning. And Busy has pitted on those soft compound tyres. Let's see where he will rejoin in comparison to the others. Might rejoin ahead of the Aston Martin of LSX, who's yet to pit, or go for a second pit stop because he's done soft. But look at Klein and under pressure from Connor right behind. Does Connor get a good exit cut out here? Gotta be really careful because these tyres are starting to fall off the cliff. And look at that, the medium runners have closed in. The mediums are now better than the soft runners. And looks like IDZ is not making it easy for the solid cars. What's happened to Busy? He's rejoined behind Leighton. You can see that Klein really hopes McLaren gets ahead, because if he was ghosted inside him in these final 2 corners, it would put him up massively. He could pick up a penalty, but Connor is in the pit lane then, going for an undercut on Klein. So Klein's going for a very long stint, it must be said, on these soft compound tyres. Connor's picked the right moment, it must be said, because if Klein gets under pressure from Hackett, if Hackett starts battling Klein, there's a 100% chance that Connor will definitely get ahead of Klein after his pit stop. As you can see, Connor has definitely lost a lot of ground. Look at Kai, he's caught up to Fulsey as well, so the gap was 2 seconds at one point. And look at that, he's going to make an overtake on Fulsey. 2.2 to overtaking him in P4. He's gained a lot of time on him. He's purple in the first sector as well, so on course for a fastest lap. Be really careful coming out of turn 3 not to lose traction there. And let's see that Connor is 4 seconds behind, and he has the tyre advantage on these 2 ahead. So will that make a difference towards the end? Might make a difference on Fulsey, maybe not towards Kai's, only 2 laps older, but we'll see. As he's just rejoined ahead of Leighton. Leighton, bearing in mind, had full wind damage early doors of this race, so Klein's been overtaken as he's in the pit lane. And let's see then, will he rejoin behind Connor? If he does rejoin behind Connor, there's a big chance to rejoin behind Leighton, so he has a car in between himself and Connor, which he really doesn't want in this race either. So, and Fulsey's retired. Is that in the pit lane? Where has he retired? Oh yes, he's crashed coming out of the last corner. That's a massive shame there. Is the safety car going to be deployed, I wonder, as Klein rejoins right behind the Ferrari and Leighton. And like I said, Connor has got a car in between himself and Klein. Don't think Connor will be under pressure too much from Leighton, because the tyre advantage for Connor is quite significant. 5 laps. 5 laps can be a difference, it must be said, on the game. And Hughes Connor then has that advantage of getting ahead of Klein Fossey. So 2 drivers yet to pit, which is Hakim and Homo Sapien. If the safety car came out now, they will have to do like 19 or 20 laps on the softs. Would they do that? You don't want to stay on the medium tyres, of course, because you don't have much time once the safety car comes in and you stay out those laps and go on the soft compound tyres. You only have like 13 laps to catch up, really, which is not enough. And you have people on fresher tyres as well, but Fulsey, sadly for him, has left the session. Connor then, 5.4 behind Kai. And Kai then is not under pressure anymore because Fulsey has retired, so... Oh, he spun! Talking about pressure, he has sadly spun coming out of turn number 3. And sadly for him, he's going to lose positions towards Connor, Leighton and possibly Klein, because Klein is in DRS range of Leighton, and there he goes then. And then he's going to go side by side with him into turn number 4. And Klein Bossy gets ahead of Kai. Hopefully the tyres are not overcooked. They shouldn't be. They should be cooling down because you see you're understeering into turn number 6. But Kai then has to stay in DRS range of Klein and Leighton if he wants to have a chance. Those tyres should be cool. He didn't light up the rears especially. He just went for a quick spin out of turn 3. As soon as he applied the throttle, the car just went for a spin. He didn't light up the rears either when he spun. Got back on the track very quickly. He tried and regroup himself. Oh, don't hit the back of him. That was so close. Homo Sapien is having a fight with Hakim, trying to reclaim P1. And there goes Klein Bossy and Leighton. So he's finally got past him then. The gap between Connor and Leighton, the gap between Klein and Connor is 1.1. So Klein Bossy really has to push hard now to get himself in that DRS range. He needs to drop Leighton. And he can set about chasing Connor. Those two had a good scrap for the lead as Kai then tried to get back on Leighton. Leighton's not done a bad job, he's done a fantastic job. When he got front wing damage, he lost a lot of time, but he's right behind Klein Bossy. And he's right behind Leighton, sorry, is Kai. And Kai would dearly love to get past Leighton to try and close in on Connor and Sapien where he was before. Also for Leighton as well when he had front wing damage. It's a massive shame he had front wing damage because he could have still been in his fight. I don't think he wanted to pit that early, but he had to anyway because he had front wing damage. He's under pressure from Kai right behind him. Kai's getting a really good exit cut out of turn 1. They both have DRS of course, but Kai is using the ERS and he gets past Leighton. They're both low on the ERS as well, so more Leighton then accepts his fate for the moment, try and restore that battery and try and repass him for P5. Klein Bossy's just thereabouts in DRS range as they're starting to drain their ERS now. Did he have DRS? I heard the beep and I saw the rear wing open, so he must have... Yes, he did actually, so the gap was 1 second. He must have been in the 1 second range in the DRS detection point, but obviously 1 second behind out of that corner. The advantage is then, if Connor's really low on DRS, he can play it very smart because if he stays behind Connor throughout the rest of the race with Connor being low on DRS, he can tactically get past him on lap 35 or 36 having more ERS, because it's very hard to save it once you're very low, but once you're behind somebody it's very easy to save it, must be said. So will Clyde go for that approach? Lap 20 out of 36, 2 drivers yet to pit, which is Homo Sapien and Hakim. Homo Sapien is outside the 1 second range of Hakim, so Hakim then needs to keep this up. Not under pressure so far from Homo Sapien. He started P5, did Hakim, lost positions at the start of the race, but look at the clouds. Interestingly, it was sunny earlier on, but the clouds are gathered in. We've got a 16 lap of this race. Is there any rain on the way? It might benefit the medium runners, the ones who started the mediums of course, because they can go from mediums to inters, but they can be very careful once the rain hits, because in fact I never mind, because they're both in the pit lane as Leighton picks up a 3 second time penalty. From the commentary box I don't know, but yep, they're on the soft compound tyres and are 15 laps to try and catch this group up. Has their pace been really good on these medium tyres? Can they catch up with 15 laps to go? Connor under massive pressure. Kai is staying there as well. Kai having the biggest, has the most laps on these tyres out of the top 3, must be said. He's dropped Leighton. Leighton's 1.6 behind Kai, so he's definitely dropped him. Oh, Kai almost lost traction coming out of turn number 3 there. Being in the dirty air of Klein. And Klein's going to go for it then. Does not decide to stay behind Connor. And Hakim is right behind. In fact, there's rain. Well, that is very interesting. Rain has hit the circuit, ladies and gentlemen, and we have a whole new phase of this race. This could benefit the soft runners because it takes a while for the rain to kick in, and once the track gets dirtier, well, not dirtier but wetter, it must be said, the soft tyres will be more stickier. And Homo sapiens got past his Haas teammate. I wonder if that's due to team orders, because you don't really see a move out of there. But he had to make that move, of course, and Haas's don't want to be tangling like they did in the first corner a few laps ago. Will we see intermediates being used in this race with 40 laps to go? But while this rain's coming down, the soft runners of Hakim and Homo sapien need to capitalise. They really need to start pushing because they'll benefit them the most, because the mediums will start to lose grip while the softs will be still good, most stickier, more malleable tyre, and they can start to close on these guys. Perfect time to pit as well, because the rain just came out. The rain just came down, sorry, as they start to come out the pit lane on the soft compound tyre, so they really chose the right moments to pit. You can really benefit them here. That all depends though if the rain gets heavier. If the rain gets heavier, Hakim and Homo sapien have a good chance of catching up, because guess what? They're not even far behind. They're only 5 seconds behind. Yeah, only 5 seconds as Kai gets a 3-second time penalty for evidently cutting that corner on the penultimate corner. Yeah, Homo sapien and Hakim really need to make use of this rain to close in on these guys ahead. And there goes Connor then on Klein Bossy. Retaking P1, is Kai going to follow? No, he stays behind. I thought he'd have a sneak peek down the inside. And Homo sapien has overtaken Hakim. Ideally, they need to be pulling their weight together to try and catch these guys. First target ahead of us is Leighton. He's about, Klein's retaking the lead away from Connor. Yeah, so first target for Homo sapien is Leighton. The gap is about 1.4 between them. Yeah, 1.2 now as it starts closing in between those guys. He's going to be on that Ferrari's gearbox very, very shortly. Maybe in the next lap, of course, or maybe this lap. There he is, just in the background then. I'll have DRS on him soon, but it looks like the rain is getting a little bit heavier. And look at Kai, he's actually dropped out the 1 second range of DRS. Did he make a mistake within those few corners? Regardless of if he made a mistake or not, he's cut the corner, he's exceeded track limits again. He's lost connection with the top two, so the top two then having their own race for P1 between Connor and Klein. Klein defending, going on the middle of the track there. Connor trying to get a better exit, using different angles. Has Kai got the outright pace to try and get himself back in the DRS range? In fact, he's got DRS now, so he actually had DRS before the detection point. Can he get himself back in this battle for P1? He's dragging along Leighton with him. Leighton could be back in this battle too, but further behind is the threatening Haas and Mercedes of Homo sapien Hakim. Before the pit stops, Hakim was 1.3 seconds ahead of Homo sapien, so Homo sapien's done a fantastic job to get himself back ahead of Hakim. You can see really using that EOS is Homo sapien. But if the conditions stay like this, Homo sapien and Hakim might have a big chance. The medium tyres won't fade away, but they won't be grippy as before because of these because of this rain. You can see there Klein missed the first corner, but he doesn't go off the track. Importantly for him, because he hasn't got a penalty. Neither has Connor either. And Connor's going to go for it. He saved up quite a bit of EOS as Connor. In fact, he wisely backs out of that battle because he wants DRS. He knows the detection point is before the corner. He backs out of it, but Kai has made a mistake, and Leighton is through. Leighton has got himself into P3, and he has the DRS to the back of Connor and Klein. And guess what? The soft runners have joined this party, so it's going to be a big fight between the 6 drivers here. It'll be very interesting to see who wins this race. 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th have got penalties to their name. That's the advantage of Klein and Connor. But the ones who can pull away from that 3-second gap is Homo sapien and Hakim. They can't afford, they really cannot afford to be in this DRS train. Because if they do, their race is potentially over. They've got to make use of these soft compound tyres. They can't afford to be in that DRS train. They need to benefit now. The soft tyres will be better at this stage. They'll be fresher, they'll be more stickier as well because of these wet conditions. And if we do switch over to the intermediates, and there goes Connor again. Yep, there he goes then. On Klein Bossy, you can see a major ERS difference between the two, 65 and 22. So look at that. Kai's almost spun. I think he tried to go down the inside and later. And there goes Homo Sapien, and there goes Hakim. And Hakim has got through Homo Sapien. And there goes Klein on Connor. In fact, I think, I'm not quite sure if it was the other way round, if Kai defended from Homo Sapien. He got I'm not quite sure about that. Did Homo Sapien try to go around the outside? I'm not quite sure, but Kai then struggling as he's demoted down into P5. Homo Sapien is down into P6, so he's going backwards rather than forwards. That contact hasn't helped him, but Kai is going to dive in the pit lane anyway. Got to be very careful they don't meet, and they don't meet, thankfully. Yeah, Kai was on the inside. Kai lost traction coming out of turn number 3, so I think Homo Sapien tried to go around the outside. It didn't work for him. Had to go off the track to take evasive action. And Kai possibly sustained full wind damage. Oh, he's on the inters. No! This is a scheduled stop for Kai. I hope this is a glitch. Yes, it is a glitch, because he lost a lot of time if it wasn't. But Connor... Oh, did somebody hit the back of each other? I'm not quite sure. But he spun! I think... Yes, he has. Connor has spun. Was that from the contact from Leighton? Well, if it was from the contact from Leighton, Leighton outbroke himself, and sadly Connor paid the price. Has Leighton got full wind damage? I'm not quite sure. Not evidently as it seems. But he might sustain light green full wind damage. Not visually, of course, but it's still an effect. So it looks like I think Clyde's in the best position now because he's not under pressure anymore. He's got a tyre difference of 6 laps between himself and Leighton. Or they go into the pit lane. DRS has not been disabled yet, as far as I can tell. They're still going around for one more lap, but Kai's decided to pit. Let's see then, has it benefited him? DRS has been enabled still. Leighton was outside the 1 second range, so he did not get DRS. So he's going to be in pressure from Hakim. Hakim really needs to get past him. There's LSX coming out of the pit lane. He's on the intermediate tyres. And look at Hakim, he's saved a lot of ERS. You can see the flashing light, but I think they could be flashing lights anyway. But somebody's made a mistake, and Leighton then has been overtaking the side by side. I expect Hakim to get a much better exit being on those soft compound tyres. They both have DRS. In fact, Leighton has DRS. Oh, look at Homo Sapien. Is he going to make this too wide? No, he's not. In fact, will he? No, he does not. And he's going to go down the inside, but I don't think Leighton expected it. They made contact, but thankfully not enough to cause any damage. Leighton attacking and defending, of course. Homo Sapien, will he go around the outside? Oh, you got to be very careful. And this has allowed Klein Bossy to pull away just a little bit as Homo Sapien's lost and he's spun. Homo Sapien has spun coming out of turn 7 there. And that sadder for him as Connor goes through. Yeah, it's a massive shame for Homo Sapien there. Hakim then. Hakim in P2. He's got a 3-second time penalty. And he's dragging along Leighton with him. Leighton still did a good job despite being on older tyres. Still got about 7 laps to go if Leighton can make it, of course. But we've got a retirement, and that is IDZ. He's decided to pit. But Homo Sapien's in the pit lane. LSX is in the pit lane for a brand new front wing. Has Kai gained any time? In fact, there's a safety car. A safety car has just been deployed for whatever reason. Nobody's retired on track, it seems. But Kai's in the pits again. Is he going to be in the dry compound tyres? Yes, he is. And yeah, his strategy has not gone well so far. He went on the intermediates a bit too early. And now he switched over back to the soft compound tyres. But is the rain? Looks like the rain's getting heavier, so that may be a wrong decision. I don't think DRS has been disabled, but I think it has now because of the safety car, of course. But I can't really tell now if it's on the verge of intermediates, it must be said. And Connor is Klein's gonna go in the pit lane along with Hakim. Hakim, Leighton, everybody's gonna be in the pit lane. Is this gonna be intermediates? Homo Sapien is on the intermediate tyres, right behind LSX, so he's got a lap car in front of him. He would ideally love to get that lap car out of the way, but Hakim is on the softs. He's gone for a brand new set of softs. Clyde's on the intermediates. Leighton's on the intermediates. And Connor is on the wets. So you've got loads of different tyres being used. The only tyre that's not been used in this race is the hards. Every single tyre has been used except the hards. Homo sapien has picked up another 3-second tyre penalty. Toxic Sweet, if you're into that sorter, come back because everybody ahead of you has got a 3-second tyre penalty. What happened there? The safety car just zoomed past Clyde Bossy. Did Clyde Bossy overtake it? So, we've got Hackam on a set of softs, Clyde on a set of intermediates, Leighton on intermediates, Connor on the wets, which is definitely not a good tyre at the moment, Busy on the intermediates, Homo sapien is back on the softs. He was on the intermediates before the safety car came out, so he's decided to go back on the softs. Who has made the right decision? I'm not quite sure. This is very hard to tell. I'm not quite sure. Oh, Kai has almost dropped it again. It won't be the first time he's spun there, of course, in this race. Just don't know which tyre is the best. I think the intermediates could be the best tyre. I think Klein and Leighton's got it right because the track, yeah, there's puddles on the track now, so I think it's the intermediates now. I think Hackam, Homo sapien and Kai made the wrong decision to go on the soft compound tyres. We might see Hackam in the pits. Can't be the soft, surely. He stays out. He don't go in the pit lane. Connor does. Well, he should have because he's on the wet compound tyres, but it's definitely intermediate tyres. Where is Homo sapien? Is he going to go to the pit lane? No, he stays out. And Kai is going to be in the intermediates as well, so I think it's definitely inters, as the track has fully, not dried, it's fully wet now, it must be said. I'd be surprised if it's still the sauce, because you can see there, spray coming from the safety car, as the rain is still coming in. It's definitely going to be the intermediate, surely can't be the softs. Homo sapien is still on the soft compound tyres, but his teammate, of course, is on the inters, so both has on different strategies. I believe one driver picked up a 5-second time penalty for speed in the pit lane. I think he's got rid of it. I think it was Busy because he did have a penalty. Let's have a look. No, he's actually clean. Well, 2 warnings. So he hasn't got a penalty. He could find himself in P3 if Hackam's made the wrong decision. 2 warnings and a penalty. Oh yeah, loads of penalties for him. 2 warnings, so 1 more warning for Connor. That is a penalty. Let's check Clyde Bossy in P1. 2 warnings, so 1 more warning, that's a penalty for safety car is in this lap. We're about to see 5 laps around Austria. It could be very chaotic. Could see a crash because people on different tyres. I don't think the softs are a suitable tyre for this condition. You never know, anything could happen. This game, it's different ways of doing things, but Clyde Bossy will lead the way, and off he goes then. And Connor, who's that in the pit lane? That's a McLaren, is it? That is Toxic Sweet. And there goes later then, the soft compound tyres, as you can see. In fact, he has to let him go. I think he overtook. Yeah, he overtook him. And Busy hits the back of him. Hopefully don't send him to a spin, which he doesn't do. But Hakim's absolutely struggling. And there goes later then Busy. They're going to make their way through on Hakim. And silent for him, he's dropped into P4. But Busy now is fighting with Leighton. Leighton trying to go defend on the inside. He outbreaks himself, and there comes Busy. Does he get a much better exit? Hakim's off the track. And there goes Busy then. He's going to go into P2. They go side by side, both using the ERS to try and stay ahead or get ahead. And Busy then, it has gone up into P2. Connor in P4 ahead of Kai in P5. Hakim in P6 on the soft compound tyres. Homo sapien in P7 on the softs. LSX is a lap car in P8, so is Toxic Sweet. So Homo sapien then will stay in P7 because he's a full lap ahead of LSX, selling for LSX. Yes, Sauce were the wrong decision in the end. Clyde Bossy has absolutely sorted out this restart. He is 2.4 seconds ahead of Busy. So, he's got one more warning has Klein Bossy. So has Busy. He can't afford to pick up that penalty. Because he's done a fantastic job all race long, has Klein Bossy. Can't afford to lose it now by penalties. Busy knows that if he picks up one more warning, that's a penalty, and his chance of winning this race is gone. And that is a Mercedes of Homo Sapien who has retired out of this race. And that is another safety car. Hackham, go on the intermediates because you will not benefit on the softs. Has to go on the inters now. So Homo Sapien has lost it in a bizarre place, and that is before turn 3. Did he lose it under braking? Was he fighting anybody? Oh, he was on the softs, so I think it's quite evident why he lost it. He was on the softs. Softs had no grip. They're just aquaplaning into the wall, decided for Homo Sapien. But I said that was a weird place to crash, but he's on the soft compound tyres, of course. I think nobody's pit him, except for Hugh Connor. He decided to go to pit lane. He's going to lose track position towards Kai. Could that be from wind damage? He did make contact with Leighton from behind, of course, but did he tap the back of Busy? And that is, yes, from wind damage, so that's why he's in the pit lane. And Connor then comes out the pit lane on a brand new set of inters and has a brand new wing. Followed behind him is Hackham, obvious why he's in the pit lane. So Klein's lead has been wiped out completely. He had an advantage because Hackham was in P2 and essentially he was able to hold up the guys behind while Klein was able to pull away, but his advantage should be wiped out. So can Busy then try and take the win of this race in P2? All these drivers have had their own problems in this race. There's only 7 remaining as the safety cars in this lap, of course. So sadly for Connor, I don't think he'll catch. Maybe he'll catch up, we're not quite sure. I think he will. Hackham as well will catch up, and LSX, who's already caught up, but a lap car behind. I'm not quite sure if there'll be a rule if you're a lap car you're able to overtake, but Klein Bossy then, if he doesn't make mistakes or gets a poor penalty, should win this race. A lot of things have happened in this race. The rain played a massive part in this race as well. Hackham had a really good chance, but he went on the wrong strategy. He could have finished in P2 today's race, or P3 with that penalty on his name, but had a big chance to try and get a podium. So was Homo Sapien as well, but he spun. But there goes Klein Bossy, and he's got the safety car restart sorted, and Busy in P2 then. Busy then, can he get a really good exit out of turn? Oh, Leighton has spun! And he's been collected by Connor as well, so Connor back up into P3, but has he sustained any damage as Hackham's going side by side? Is Busy close enough? No, he's not. Hackham then in P4 fighting with Kai. Kai almost, well, thank God that Aston Martin was a ghost car, otherwise it smashed into the back of him, but Kai's got off the track and Hackham stays in P4. Connor made contact with the spinning Ferrari. Hopefully he hasn't picked up any damage so far. Judging by the way he's driving, it looks like he's okay. Hopefully he's okay, because it's not the first time he's sustained from wind damage in this race. It's a massive shame for later then. It was all a concerted effect in turn 1. They were just right behind each other, and later sadly couldn't prevent himself from spinning because Kai was just up his rear. Connor then, as in the slipstream of Busy, has he got a chance to try and reclaim P2, but obviously he's got that 3-second time penalty. It's the last lap of this race then, so Klein Bossy, if he picks up one more warning, he's missed turn 1, it won't affect him too much, but if he picks up one more warning, he will get a penalty. With Busy as well, so they can't afford to pick up one more warning. Klein Bossy knows he can't afford to pick up one more warning. Got to keep it nice and clean here. Needs to get a really good exit quit out of turn number 3, which he has done. Just keep it nice and clean. No need to push because it's very hard to overtake in the rain, especially in the corners. There's no way you can get close enough on your rival. That was Busy's last chance essentially to try and get past Klein. So it's really pivotal for Klein not to make any mistakes in these final few corners. just bring that car home, take it very nice and easy. He should see himself winning the race. Very nice out of there. Busy under pressure from Connor, of course, but he'll finish in P2 regardless, unless he spins, of course, or picks up a penalty. But Clyde Bossy could make his way around the final corner. The Dutchman will come across the line to win the Austrian Grand Prix. Busy will finish in second place, ahead of Connor. Hakim in P4 ahead of Kyle, later P6, ahead of LSX, and Toxic Sui finishes in P8. I think he was a pole sitter as well with Clyde Bossy, so fantastic for Clyde. What an amazing race for him. Kept out of trouble, didn't make contact with anybody. Lucky for Connor there. Not quite sure what happened at the turn 3 when it was the dry conditions. I'm not sure if later hit the back of him, but yeah, it definitely cost him in this race. Homo Sapien as well, he could have benefited with those softs with Hakim. Hakim went on the wrong tyres under the safety car, but still finds himself coming home with P4. Yes, he did then. So Clyde Bossy, top pole, and the race win. Fantastic job from Clyde Bossy there. Busy from P6 to P2. He did a fantastic job as well. Connor back at the podium despite what happened to him. And Hakim in P4, later in P5, picking up front wing damage early in the race on lap 10. What could he have done if he did pick up any damage, because he was flying in the early parts of this race. He was essentially almost fighting for the lead after starting in P11. Kai in P6, he was also in the fight with the top 3. Loads of things happened in this race. And Toxic Sui still scores points despite not turning up. His AI drove himself into P8 and still picks up points, but obviously it won't count because I think you're going to complete 90% of the race. And Toxic Sui only appeared in qualified. So yeah, his car scored points, but in the championship you won't get it. That has been me for the Austrian Grand Prix. Hope you enjoyed what you've seen. Round 6 has finished, and we've got tier on tomorrow for the Austrian Grand Prix, so tune in there. It should be an interesting race. The weather could play a factor, as you've seen in this race as well, in qualifying or in the race. You see a massive DRS train as well. And yeah, it should be a fun race here around Austria. Penalties could make or break your race as well, so you can be very careful not to pick up penalty. Just notes to myself, so hopefully I take these notes into consideration for my race tomorrow around Austria. But that's me done for today. Hope you enjoyed what you've seen, and yeah, make sure you all tune in for tier 1 tomorrow to watch me win. See you all tomorrow.